Okay, Derek wrote in, and Derek said, what if there was a blind election where you couldn't see the candidates' names? You simply saw the values they promised to vote on. So essentially, you show up, and instead of there being a name and maybe even a party attached, all you see is, these are my values, these are my positions. I think it's an interesting concept because it would solve some of what we talked earlier on this week of people overstating their conservatism and saying, here's my set of beliefs, but I'm going to vote for a candidate that is far more to the right of that set of beliefs. So you would resolve that issue, but I do have a problem with that because while I don't think that issues like a candidate's physical appearance should be part of deciding on who to vote for, I think that that doesn't really tell us too much about a candidate. Knowing the candidate's age is not an irrelevant thing. So if you're voting for president and you are thinking of the candidates, it's not irrelevant to me to say, you know, the one that's 35 or 37 and a half or whatever the minimum age is right now to be president, I have more questions about that candidate's experience, and that goes beyond just what are their policy positions. Now, if Derek's hypothesis or if Derek's system was amended to say, not only do you have a list of their positions, you also have a list of when and where they have experience, you could deduce what a candidate's age is and how experienced they are. And this is actually a situation where I might be reverse ageist. Typically, we talk about ageism as being a tendency to discriminate against those who are older. When it comes to people in these positions, when it comes to my accountant, my attorney, the president, etc., I probably would tend to discriminate against those who are younger, and that may not actually be fair, but that's my reaction to Derek's idea.
I think if this blind election were to happen, and for some reason, the values that these candidates put up that they promised to vote on are absolutely true, and they would not deviate from it, perhaps it wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Well, of course, that's the other problem, which is
right.
We know from campaigns that just because a candidate says that they're going to do something doesn't mean they will. So we would also be questioning whether the values we saw written down were actually what the candidate would do. But you would have that issue regardless, Lewis, of whether you know who the candidate is or not.
I suppose you would, yeah. You're going to have people who campaign on something and do the opposite. That's just how it goes. So I think there are lots of things we need to know about our candidates that we should know, that we should see. Of course, you're always going to have people who are going to say, oh, that guy's black, I'm not going to vote for him.
Of course, but here's another example, I think, Lewis, that's an example of what we would want to see. You might have two candidates that, if asked to write down their positions, would write down essentially the same positions. But in seeing them talk to each other, putting aside race, let's assume they're the same race and the same age and the same gender, right? Those characteristics are the same. They sort of zero out. One candidate might be far more articulate or nuanced when speaking about an issue than another. Although, if they were both asked to summarize their position in a few words, they might summarize it the same way. And that would be an important factor in determining who to vote for, and that wouldn't translate to something like a bulleted list of positions.
I would say, like with any issue, topic, or story we cover, we want to know as much about it as possible. And I think the same is true with the people we are going to elect.
All right, great questions today from Evan, Claire, and Derek. Keep your questions coming for the Friday show. You can email them in. You can tweet us questions. You can leave them on our Facebook page as Friday show questions, or leave them as a voicemail. Call 219-2-DAVID-P 24 hours a day and say, I've got a Friday show question for you, and here it is. That's it for today. We will talk to you on the bonus show. Remember, davidpakman.com/calendar15. Get your 2015 Hatriot Mail calendars.